Hi everyone, I'm Tally, this is Farrell, and we're bored of it, and this is Sven, if you can see his little head there. And this is our top 10 most played games adjusted for playtime. It's a very snappy title of this video.
Exactly, we love snappy titles. And this kind of came about because we regularly release our stats for our most played games. And some people have kind of commented or asked that it would be fun to see based upon like the actual playtime of the game. Because for example, Codenames is almost always our number one. And that's just because if you play a game of Codenames, it takes like 10 or 15 minutes and you'll probably play a few of them. But would it still be in our top 10 if you adjusted for time? Spoiler, it's not. So we're going to go through and we're going to essentially say, obviously, the game. We're going to say how many like minutes are played and also how many plays we have of it. And just say this is a little bit of a loose one because obviously some games are going to be adjusted like depending how many we're playing with or... But I think most of the part is accurate. I've just kind of taken either like a midpoint average or for some of them where we usually do only play it with 3 or 4 players, then I can kind of factor that in and I know that the average is going to be a bit higher.
Average playtime, yeah.
But we'll give it a go. So why don't we start with number 10?
Number 10 on our list is Imperium.
Yes.
Now I guess Imperium series. So there's 3 games in the Imperium series. We have 15 plays of that under our belt. And that equals around 1,800 minutes of playtime.
Yeah, so this was a series we started playing, funnily enough, early last year. So it's actually, to be on a top 10 most played, quite new. And that's because all 3 of the games in the series, we were sent by the publisher for review. And we created a buyer's guide to compare and contrast the different games. Imperium Horizons, Classics, and Legends. And essentially, we played a lot of this, which is like a civilization deck building game, very solitaire. Not a game you'd ever really want to play, invite people around to play it, because you kind of just are doing your own thing. But it's fine for us, obviously, as we kind of live together and game together, it's fine. We see each other all the time, so...
You don't need to talk to each other when we're playing a game.
So part of this is just that it is such an intense, like kind of complex, heavy game. It does take a lot of time, like on average, probably 2 hours, even just 2 players. You maybe get it a little bit shorter if you really know your civilizations, probably a bit longer, but that's where it comes from. And so we did really enjoy it. That's why we got 15 plays.
Yeah, for sure. This game, I always like to think of it as kind of like a Saturday afternoon with a cup of tea kind of game. And yeah, we played it a lot because of the buyer's guide. And yeah, it just takes, I feel like some of the games were taking more than 2 hours.
Definitely,
to be honest,
for sure. I think that was about the average I put in 2, maybe 2 and a bit. But I guess you can divide it and figure out. I can't remember now. But yeah, it was definitely, we've had games that have been like 3 hours, depending on how complex the civilizations are.
Exactly. Yeah, so pretty impressive. All right, should we move on to number 9? Yes. And that is, if Sven will let me.
Yeah, boy, I can take over.
Yeah, you need to. He wants constant pets. All right, so number 9, and this is something that has shot into the top 10 quite recently. That is John Company, 2nd edition. We've played a couple of games basically in the last 2 weekends. So total plays is 11, and that is around 1,980 minutes of playing this game. Yeah,
so I think took an average here of about 3 hours or so. And the problem with John Company is that it says like in the BGG that it can be between 90 and 240 minutes. And that is kind of true because the company can fail and the game can end early, or you can go the distance. And in John Company, and I'm glad to see it on this list because I actually rated it my favorite game of all time in our list kind of last year of our top 10 board games. And you play kind of families kind of vying for power within the East India Trading Company. And it's just this real sandbox of kind of like satirical colonialism, and It's like a bit of role playing. It's a bit of negotiation. It's so variable. I absolutely love it. Unparalleled experience for me. And we actually did like 2 days ago, we did the long game for the first time, which did take like 4 or 5 hours because we went the distance. So actually this could have been maybe even higher if I didn't average it out.
Yeah, that's true. I think I was actually trying to explain this game to someone at work today because they asked what I did at the weekend. I played about 5 hours of this game called John Company.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously it's a very unique in that you're all working together to try and make the company survive and be kind of profitable. But of course, your family, you want to win. So it's all about kind of managing the common good versus wanting to kind of get money and points for your own family. And yeah, we've always have a lot of fun with it in terms of like the role playing part, like you say, because you can really embody your kind of family. And everyone has different roles, like the chairman, director of trade, for instance. And then you can vote each other in as well into the different roles. So yeah, it's always a lot of fun, even just for that part.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I had a bit of a rough game this weekend where it was, very long and I was struggling a little bit to kind of get my engine going a little bit. But on the whole, super fun game and always look forward to playing it.
I would also expect this one to rise up just because it's, as of last year, my favorite game. And I mean, we played it with a friend when we did the long game and he was like, this is like one of the best games you have. It's not his first time, but he absolutely loves it as well for the drama and the back and forth. He got to one point where he had like 3 times as many points as everyone else, and then he lost about 20 points in a turn. And it's just that kind of game. Yeah.
And then even when it was clear that he was going to lose all his points and, go from a very, very high to a very, very low, he still was saying, this is the best game that you've got. That says a lot for all the games as well.
So I hope to see this stay in the top 10 most played in terms of time.
Okay, so moving on to the next one, which is number 8. That is ISS Vanguard. We did 19 plays of that. I guess it's more like sessions in a way, right? And that's a total time of 1,995 minutes.
Yeah, so this one I think is actually more me than you. So ISS Vanguard is kind of a story-driven, like Awaken Realms campaign type game where you're on the ISS Vanguard, which is kind of like a colony ship sent out to kind of save Earth from this like natural disaster that's happening, for lack of a better term, and find a solution to that. And it's kind of your journey in like other solar systems, basically. And I think there's a lot to like about the story. And I think that is particularly why I kept playing. I think you dropped off after a while. But I do think one of the issues is that the gameplay never evolves. And it's kind of like rolling dice and kind of using those dice. So there's a lot of luck involved in what you can do. And that never evolved in any meaningful way across a long campaign. And also it was like, I think because Awaken Realms do make like difficult games, like story or Nemesis or otherwise. I feel like they made that difficult when it didn't have to be because the story was so engaging. So this is one we'll probably never move. I actually gave it to our friend that we played John Company with. So he has it now. And just, because of the mechanism, I just don't. Even though the story would get me back, I just didn't find it that interesting to play after a certain point.
I think at some point it just got more frustrating for me when you don't 100%, roll what you need and then 100%. You're just stuck and then you just die or whatever, right? And it's like, okay. But I think the production of it is absolutely amazing, actually. Just the components and the audio that comes with the story and all of that is really great. But I think I got a little bit bored after a while. I mean, co-ops are not so much our thing anyway. It has to be amazing mechanically or narratively for us to really love it. So I got a bit tired of it in the end. The sessions can also be very long. Obviously you can stop where you want, but the natural point was quite long, I think sometimes. And there was a part where you were doing the, what was it called, the admin or the upkeep or something, which you were doing. And then I was not really doing anything. So Good game, particularly if you like that kind of thing, but not for us anymore, I would say.
So number 7.
Yes, moving on to number 7. That is, Mansions of Madness with 14 plays.
Yeah.
Really? Is that it?
Well, we probably did more pre-channel.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I was going to say, I feel like I played Mansions of Madness more than 14 times.
So I should say all of these stats are from when we started the channel.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think we had this before and we played it before.
Yeah. We started the channel 4.5 years ago, at this point, nearly 5 years ago. And that is playtime of around 2,100 minutes.
Yeah, so this is a bit of a tricky one. So this was a real average out because Mansions of Madness is an app-driven kind of eldritch horror type game where you're playing investigators and you have kind of the Lovecraft elements and monsters and scenarios. And you're generally trying to, complete a scenario. And they can be very varied from kind of puzzle solving to just all-out combat. And we did a buyer's guide of this, which is why, in part, we've played it so much. Do quite enjoy it, particularly the puzzle type scenarios.
Yeah.
But
like murder mystery type scenarios, right?
And we have a friend who quite enjoys it as well. So I had a few games playing with her.
Yeah.
It's like sometimes an excuse to get it out.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, exactly. Again, like another co-op game actually, but very much do enjoy it actually. Yeah. And again, I think the murder mystery one's a particular highlight. Like they're from expansions, they're like cruise ship.
Yeah.
There's a train one as well.
Yeah.
I would always say yes to a game of Mansions of Madness actually. Particularly like to play it around like Halloween time, get the candles going, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But I think it's one that will really always stay in our collection. It comes up every now and again. We fancy a game and we play it.
Yeah, I think because you have so many scenarios, there's definitely, because we got all the expansions, I should say we were sent some of the expansions to produce the buyer's guide. Because we now have all the expansions, we have a lot of replayability in there, which obviously helps as well because it draws you back to see something new.
Yeah.
And then you do often fail a scenario because it's difficult. So then you might have even a reason to replay the same scenario and they do alter the setup a little bit and things like that.
Yeah, I think at this point, we've had it for so long, I don't know if I would remember some of the first scenarios that we played.
That's
so I'd be more than happy to kind of go back and have another crack at them. But it's a good one. All right, number 6. That is Wingspan. Wow, okay, we really jumped up here in like number of plays. Not exactly what we're looking at here, but 35 plays of Wingspan. Also to around 2,100 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Wingspan. Stonemaier Games production is. I think everyone probably knows who's watching this channel knows what Wingspan is. But it's kind of resource collection engine building game. You have a tableau or a player map with different habitats and you have to play birds into different habitats to kind of maximize your engine. Because each habitat has a different action associated with it, like get food, lay eggs, draw cards. And every time you do that, you kind of activate the birds that you've already played from right to left. There's some kind of different cards which activate at different times, but on the whole, really just kind of getting your engine going, playing as many birds as you can to collect points, and there's various ways that you can collect points as well. But very nice little game and very like lovely production as well. For me, I feel very calming when I play Wingspan.
Yeah. So I mean, the reason it's got so many plays, and I think this one is it's also in our top 10 most played list by number of plays, and also obviously if you have number of plays and this is. You can say your average board game is going to take an average amount of board game time, an hour to 90 minutes.
Yeah.
If we're playing at 2 players, maybe 3. And I mean, this is just because there's a reason it's so popular. It's easy to get to the table. Most people know how to play it, or it's easy to teach. Most people enjoy playing it, at least to try it out.
Yeah.
And it's just one that gets reached for and we get out to the table. It's not that we particularly have it in our top 10 or top 20 games. I do wonder how much this will move up now in future lists, just because now I think we both maybe slightly prefer Wormspan
Yeah.
And now you have Finspan coming, which we're going to be trying soon. So
Yeah.
I wonder, because that's obviously taking players away from Wingspan.
Yeah, I think over a long time frame, it will still be there, right? It's a game that we're probably never going to get rid of out of the collection.
No.
It's like a classic. It's always there. It's kind of a comfort game.
Yeah.
So it will always be there, whereas maybe other games come in and come out a bit quicker. So maybe over the kind of longer term.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have had games of this where the playtime really goes on a long time. There's the kind of infamous game we tried to play with 5 players, would not recommend in terms of playtime. If we looked at our kind of recorded actual playtime, that would have really spiked it up. Went on for hours.
Yep.
All right, so next one. What number are we on now? Is it, 5. So that is June, and we have played that 25 times with a playtime of around 2,250 minutes.
Nice. So yeah, this is the June series. We've always bunched games up in series when they're like the Imperium series and like this. So
Especially
June,
if they're kind of relatively similar.
Yeah, like June Imperium, June Uprising. And this is kind of a funny one for me because from a time perspective, it makes sense because it is like an intense 2-hour game if you're playing with like 3-4 players. Although we've kind of split probably evenly between us 2 playing and playing with other people.
Yeah.
But it's more surprising to me because, this is the classic. I mean, it's very, very popular worker placement mixed with kind of deck building and very cutthroat, very brutal, very interactive. But it's funny that it's so many plays combined because it doesn't feel like we've played it that much, but we have. It's like a dark horse. And I think part of it was we're also only okay on Dune Imperium, but I think with Dune Uprising, we did really get into it. And then we played both of them a lot together within a short period of time at the beginning of last year. I think that really drove up our plays.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm kind of surprised to see it on there. If you'd asked me to kind of guess what games would be on here, I probably wouldn't even think of that. I don't even think, for me, it feels like a game that goes on particularly long. It can be over relatively quickly. So I think it depends. It's a race to X amount of points.
I think we do also throw in a lot of the expansions.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I guess it's a good thing for the game that it doesn't feel like it drags on at all. So maybe that gives me the perception that, it feels quicker than it really is.
Yeah.
To be fair, a lot of games are like that. We look up to the clock when you've been playing, oh my God, I've been playing this for 2 or 3 hours. And that's definitely
John
one
Company
for me.
last weekend.
Well, that felt like a long time to me because I was doing so bad. But I think that one is particularly kind of action-packed, so the time seems to go very quickly. Yeah,
that is true. You're just always waiting for your next turn.
Yeah, exactly, and plotting revenge or whatnot.
Yep. All right.
Okay, moving on to the next one. That is number 4, and that is Tapestry. We've played this 26 times, and what is it? I've only won 1 or 0 times.
Once.
Okay, brilliant. And we have played that 2,340 minutes, roughly.
So this is another one that actually probably just, maybe not just, but went up the list quite recently-ish. We actually played it for 2 or 3 times, I think, over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
You wanted to get it out, and it had been a while, so we did. And this is the kind of infamous Stonemaier game in some way that, it came out and it was touted as a civilization game, but in some ways, the theme is and isn't there. And I think there was a lot of kind of backlash about what it was, but we've always quite enjoyed it. It's never going to be one of our favorite games, but it's a lot like Wingspan in a way that it's easy to get to the table. It's easy to play. I always say that I like when you take your turn, you basically have 1 of 4 decisions to make. And obviously it spirals out, but it's which track do I move up now? And I love how that simple decision of A, B, C, or D spirals out into, 300 points or whatever. I should say, I can't remember
spirals out into 300 points for some people. But
Yeah.
not me.
I can't remember if we got the base game as a review copy, but we certainly got all the expansions,
Not sure.
just to be clear. I think we did, but
Yeah.
I'll have to check. So just assume we did. But yeah, so I mean, what do you?
Yeah, no, I really like Tapestry despite being like famously terrible at it. And I think for me, that's always testament to a great game is the kind of finding joy in just playing it for the joy in playing it. And
Well, you are literally playing it for the joy of playing it.
I'm playing it to try and like beat myself from the last game, basically.
You need to
rather
start
than
logging
beat
that, yeah.
you. Yeah, exactly. No, I just find it very kind of, satisfying puzzle to what you said similarly is, which track to go up? How do you kind of spin the most actions out of it? How do you get the most out of your resources that you have, which are often like fairly limited in a way? I just think it's a nice game. There's a lot of choices with civilizations that you can be, which kind of determine some kind of extra bonus powers that you get in a way. So I think you can make each game not feel completely different, but there's some different angle to it every time you play. So that keeps me coming back, and maybe a little part of me is like trying to win just one time, but
One more time.
But no, for me it's again, like you said, not going to be in the top 10, but it's a little bit of a classic in the household, I would say.
Yeah, 100%.
And we have some friends that also really enjoy playing it, so it probably helps with the number of plays and playtime.
Yeah.
It's been requested when certain friends come around that they want to get it out. So
Yeah, it's good.
okay, so moving on to number 3. That is our old favourite, Scythe.
Scythe, yeah. So
We've played that 26 times. So again, roughly same kind of play time as Tapestry, so around 2,340 minutes.
yeah, so I think this one is, even though it's the kind of about the same on everything as ranked, just because I think it's a bit more complex. Scythe was classically our all-time favorite game, and I think before the channel we'd played it even more than 26 times when we weren't keeping records. But yeah, I mean, Scythe is a funny one because I do something tried to get out, but we're at a problem now where when we began playing and we had all these plays and even played it before the channel, we had like a core group and everybody was super into Scythe. The famous Stonemaier kind of mechs on a map, but actually it's action efficiency, the Great War, kind of alternate history, where you're all taking on different factions of kind of alternate history powers of Europe. And we just had such a great time and played it, but then they've all kind of moved away. And now the problem we have is that as much as we like Scythe, we don't like playing it that much at 2 players. I mean, maybe we should give the modular map a little go where you can make it tighter, but there's just something about it, like even with a 3rd player, we do just really enjoy it that much more. But because we have played it so much, like if we introduce it to anyone, because it's an efficiency puzzle, we just obliterate them. And it's like a really hard sell to be like, you might like be competitive in this in like a couple of plays. So then it's like...
Yeah. We just have so much other stuff that we usually want to kind of show people that's maybe easier for them to grasp and maybe is more new to us, so they're not going to get smashed in the points. And I think part of it is just kind of the nostalgia of playing with those same people. And maybe it just doesn't feel like worth teaching to different people. And we'll never get that golden age of Scythe that we had back, I think. I think sadly we said for years it was our absolutely favourite game, and a lot of that is down to the nostalgia. It's something that got us into the hobby in the first place, so it holds a special place. But I think it has dropped down a little bit in both of our kind of rankings, just because we've seen other things out there now, and maybe the nostalgia is like waning. Over the
For
years.
me, to be fair, what I find actually when we've played it, because I remember when we started the channel, there was a long time that we didn't play it because we were always like moving on. And I was really scared to go back to it because I'm like, after we played all these new games, like, what if it doesn't hold up? And I still absolutely loved it and had like such a great time playing it. I still find that, like, especially if we do manage to play with some of the people we used to. But it's just, I just can't see it getting played that much, which is a problem with the situation we have now.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'd love to play it more and watch it go up, but I think it might be one that starts sliding
Yeah.
or something changes.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, moving on to number 2. That is Root, which I guess historically appears in our most played
Yeah.
list, even on number of plays. It's probably like one of the heaviest ones usually
Yeah.
on the list.
I think it's like number 2 now, usually
Yeah.
around there.
So we have 40 games of Root under our belts, and that's a playtime of around 3,600 minutes.
Yeah, so I mean, Root is a terrific game. It's the kind of asymmetric woodland war game with different animal factions. We have just absolutely loved playing it. That's why we have played so much, because we have all the expansions, so we have all the different factions. So there's a lot of variety, and they all play differently because they're asymmetric. So there is just a lot of reasons to go back to it over and over and over that many times.
Yeah, we've played that much, and there's still some factions that I haven't played as yet, which is crazy.
It is crazy because it's like a lot of plays to us having the channel and always moving on, but also it doesn't feel like I've played it enough yet.
Yeah, no.
It's a very strange concept.
Yeah, but I guess there's nothing to like crack it. You don't play and there's nothing to like crack in a way. Of course you need to play and learn the factions, and a lot of the playtime is because you want to kind of swap factions. That really helps you to understand how you should play and how you should stop other factions, and is part of the learning curve. But because the game is about kind of getting points and going up against other players, it's not like a Euro game where you kind of crack the system and then you maybe like get bored with it. It's all about what happens in that particular
That's a really good way of putting it.
game, which makes it fun. So it's something that I think you could never really get bored of, because it's just unpredictable, like what's going to happen. We recently found some friends which also enjoy playing it. So
Recently, 2 years ago.
oh my God, okay. Time really flies. We didn't play a Root with them like 2 years ago, no, right? Maybe like a year ago. Maybe?
Yeah, a year ago maybe.
So that's also been nice. I think we played it with more people in the beginning, but yeah, some of our friends didn't really take to it. And again, it can be a bit of a hard learning curve, but we found some people that already knew how to play it, which is amazing, because you can just get right in there pretty much. So that's probably meant some of the plays going up quite recently as well.
Yeah, I would like to get it out because it's been a while now. One I definitely want to play some more in the future.
Yeah.
And we certainly will once the new expansion comes out in a year or so.
You're looking forward to that, aren't
Yes,
you?
frogs.
You're a frog boy.
Frog Boy.
Okay, so
Number 1.
Number 1, that is the Great Western Trail series. And that is 24 plays, which I have to say I'm a bit surprised at that. Seems low for me.
It does take a long time to play those games.
Yeah, I know.
And we almost always play it at like 4 players as well.
I know. Yeah, it just, some of these numbers sometimes it just feels like more.
Yeah.
And that's, roughly the same time actually as Root. So around 3,600 minutes.
Yeah, so that one gets to the top just by the fact of being, on average, slightly heavier. And yeah, because it just takes so much longer. Because for this one, I did adjust for the fact that we're always almost playing with 4 people. Which really longs the game out. But so these are the classic games where you're basically going in a loop around the board, dragging your cattle all over town.
Selling cows.
And
Taking them on holiday, as I like to think.
Taking them on holiday. And you're kind of building up the infrastructure of the trail. You're getting better at certain things. There's usually a few different ways to lean into. And
it's a bit of hand management, right?
Yeah.
Because the cows are basically...
Also that, deck building, hand management.
Exactly. Your cows are cards, and you want to kind of optimize your hand when you get to the end of the loop. Sorry, I'm going to cough.
Nice.
Sorry about
So, you're going to die from trying to hold it in.
I just love Great Western Trail so much. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was your number 1 game of all time. So, I guess you win this round that have played your number 1 game the most.
Yeah, that is true.
So, yeah, it's just, and each one as well. So one of the reasons we keep going back to it is now that there's these different variations in the series and they offer different things and we like them different amounts, although we think they're all great. you always say that it's just one of those games that it is just fun for the entire game just to play. No matter who wins, and which is good because we usually play with 4 and it's a long game. So if it didn't, it might suck a bit. But it's going to be one that keeps coming out and playing. I think it's arguably almost the ultimate Euro game based on how much we've played it and where we've ranked it in our top 10 games of all time as well.
I think it's because you're going around in a loop that you're almost trying to do better than yourself in the previous round. So for me, I think that's why I just, enjoy it for the sake of enjoying it and playing it, because there's that progression all the time. So you're not so worried about what other people are doing in a way. So I think it's, I just love it. And again, it's another one that I'm really, really bad at. I don't win that very much either. I've won it a little bit more than Tapestry, but not by much.
It's hard not to.
But I really like the Argentina one. That's my favourite. What? How rude. You nearly slipped that past me. But yeah, this is my favourite game at the moment. And I would just never say no to it. And I just love it.
Yeah, great.
That's all there is to it, really.
Yeah, so that is our top 10 most played games. If you're counting how long it takes to play them, first half plays of them. So we hope this was interesting to see, you could say, maybe a more realistic side where it's not just kind of
lighter games.
Lighter plays, kind of getting up in there, because obviously if you play No Thanks or Code Names, you're going to have a lot of plays, especially if you're introducing them to your family. This is probably a bit more representative of what we're actually spending our time playing. And obviously you could say these are the games for the most part that have stuck with us.
Yeah.
And made us keep playing, basically.
Yeah.
So I look forward to seeing how this changes over time. But I think that's our video. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're not already. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.